Hey guys, my name is Tribal Instincts, and today I am covering what I found interesting in GDC 2017. This year's GDC in the VR space had a lot to do with pricing, at least the points that I found the most interesting. Starting off, VR is about to get it a little bit cheaper. NVIDIA has announced the GTX 1080 Ti. This is the most powerful graphics card that has ever been announced. It trumps the Titan X. It completely destroys the GTX 1080 by a whopping 35%. And it doesn't cost more than the already existing GTX 1080. Now, yes, it's still quite a bit of money. At $699, that is not cheap, but hey, they didn't charge us $1,000 like, everybody was expecting the new top end was gonna be once the Titan X was replaced. Even better than just having an awesome new top end graphics card is the fact that this brought the price down for all of the existing graphics cards. The GTX 1080 is now $599, all right? Still not exactly cheap, but still it also had an impact on the GTX 1070, which is now only $399. That is much more reasonable than what things used to be. So the GTX 1070, if you don't already have a Vive, if you're not in VR, the GTX 1070 will get you going and you will have a fantastic experience in it. The GTX 1080 is what I'm using to both play VR games and record in some cases on the same computer. So it is more than enough to get a lot of amazing VR experiences. So if you've been holding out on getting a upgraded graphics card and because of that you haven't been able to get a VR headset, now's a pretty good time to get into it because I don't expect anything within the next year probably to come out that's just gonna like blow this out of the water. If you're a regular watcher of my channel, you know very well that I am very clearly a Vive supporter. Oculus has not earned my trust or loyalty or enthusiasm in any way. However, they did do a pretty cool thing for VR in this particular GDC. The Rift is now $200 off permanently. All right, now the headset technically is only $100 off, and then the touch controllers is $100 off, but really who wants VR without hands in the game anyway? So you get $200 off of the Rift right now, and that will last forever. Now keep in mind for the room scale experience, you do need a third camera for the experimental feature of room scale. So add another $60 for that for your full setup, but still, Oculus Rift for, $650 or so, and a price cut on the GTX 1080, 1070, you have yourself a fairly reasonable-ish price to get into VR. HTC has responded with that by basically saying that they don't care. They came out and said that they are not going to be adjusting the price of the Vive because they don't need to. While that is incredibly disappointing, they did announce a payment plan. Using the PayPal credit system, you can now get a Vive if you want to do a 2-year deal for $34.50. So while you're not saving anything there, it does make the bullet a little bit easier to bite. Vive also announced a subscription plan for their Viveport games. This could be really interesting, depending on how this plays out and how many developers get on board. But from what it says right now, it's going to be about $6.99 per month, and you're able to essentially rent 5 games per month. You're able to roll it over from month to month, but ultimately you're only allowed to select 5 new experiences per month, and you don't get to keep those permanently in your library, but still, $6.99 a month, that's a pretty decent amount to test out a bunch of games. Really though, time will tell if this is going to be worth it or not, because we don't know which developers are on board with the opt-in option of putting them into the Viveport games. As of right now, it's going to be all the Vive Studio titles, but unknown amount of other developers. Back to the hardware. The deluxe audio head strap has a price and it has a release date. So $100 is going to get the nice, shiny, new deluxe audio head strap for the Vive. That price is better than what a lot of people are expecting, but it is still a pretty hefty price for, some plastic straps and the headphones. The real make or break on if this is a high value item is if the headset quality, the actual audio headset, is actually of a high quality or not. But ultimately though, if it improves the comfort of the Vive, $100, depending on who you are, might be well worth it. If you have a serious issue with the Vive comfort level, this might work, but I haven't tried it yet, but reports do say it's pretty promising. So $100, pre-order starts May 2nd with a release date in June. What does this mean for the Revolve headset? That's going to be interesting, all right? So the Revolve head strap, it's supposed to maybe fix a different issue with the Vive, and it completely changes where the headset rests, where the weight is, and it also gives the flip-up functionality. So it does have potentially some improvements over the deluxe audio head strap, while also obviously missing some of the things like the audio. But we'll have to see how the final product is. As of right now, there's no change from the first impressions that I gave a few weeks ago. So time will tell if the finished product of the Revolve head strap is something that can compete. People were really expecting the Deluxe Audio head strap to be more expensive and thus the Revolve being a higher value. But if they're going to be in the same price range, that's going to be really interesting. So I'll let you guys know if I find anything else about that. There's really nothing else to report on the Revolve head strap just yet, so there's no point in me making a final review video. I'm hopefully going to be getting some more information from them soon on more details on the final product. But as of right now, the Deluxe Audio head strap may be a really tough thing for the Revolve. The goofy looking little tracker puck things also have a price point. $100 is what they're coming out as. Now, that's not too very exciting for most people just because these devices, they don't really have too much value to your typical consumer. If you're getting into mixed reality or virtual reality recording, then yes, it's obviously better than strapping a controller to the top of your camera. But for your average consumer, there's really no point in getting these things. But what is cool is these even goofier looking things that are coming out that will use those trackers. So the image that I'm showing you right now, this is a prototype looking thing for a Vive controller with an actual thumb pad. So that's a really cool thing, and it has well, we'll see how the weight is distributed and how everything works. But it's exciting that developers are able to make add-ons for the Vive and all these other cool things. So I'm really excited about what these trackers are going to do for the expansion of the VR peripheral system. All right, so now we get into the point that I'm probably the most excited about. Steam VR, the Vive, it now has a cousin, or it will have a cousin soon. LG has announced that it's getting into the Steam VR arena with its LG EZ. I think that's the name of it. It's a VR system that is, as it's spec'd, it's actually going to be an improvement to the Vive, or at least a higher resolution per eye, and also an increased pixels per inch. So theoretically, there should be a even less screen door effect than what we're already used to. Same refresh rate, same field of view. So a lot of the things are going to be similar from what the Vive is to what the LG's version is. But it does have some other improvements. It does look like it has the PlayStation VR's style of headset to where it rests on the top of your head and it's able to lift up and you clamp it around in various ways. So that should be very interesting to see. Price point and release date is as of yet unknown. Microsoft has also announced that it's getting into the VR space. Everybody knew this was coming, but they haven't officially announced it, and the development kits are actually going to be sending them out, from what I understand, within the month. This is going to be pretty interesting. The specs look pretty nice, good resolution per eye, refresh rate, all the things look good. What is very interesting though is that it looks like it is an inside-out tracking mechanic. So this is different than anything that we have on the market right now, and they're calling this the mixed reality headset. So we'll see how that goes. But what is really cool is that not only is it going to be working for Windows 10, they say that the Xbox Scorpio that is supposed to be announcing within the next year, I believe, will also support this. So very, very, very interesting to see how this is going to take hold and what changes this has for the VR space. Again though, price and release date unknown. All we know is that it's supposed to ship out to developers sometime soon, but no idea when this is going to make it out to consumer hands. And lastly, while this is specific to OpenVR in terms of its announcement, the technology is going to be cool for everything. Foveated rendering, right? Eye tracking. This is the ability for games to be able to know where you're looking. Now, while this does have some really, really cool immersion emphasis, like being able to actually see where somebody's looking, that's amazing. But what's really, really cool is how this is going to potentially impact the total specs and processing power that is required for you to run VR. This could significantly amp up the total quality of our games without increasing any of the extra draw on the processor. Foveated rendering allows the game to only render specifically what you're looking at and let everything else be more blurry and lower resolution. So what this means is really, really cool for the future of VR. So I'm excited to see that people are actively working on this and that this isn't just some future dream of, oh, maybe someday we could do this. This is real. People are able to track eyes, and I expect within the next 2 years, we're going to see very, very impactful results from this. Before I close out, I know a lot of you are going to be asking, Tribal, this was a game developers conference. Where are the games? Good question. So this is the biggest disappointing piece of the entire GDC. There was precious little information for new Vive titles. Now, Oculus had a fantastic showing with a slew of exclusive game titles, but the Vive, I didn't see anything that really caught my eye. So this is really disappointing, and once again, it kind of like makes me a little bit more angry at Oculus for what they're doing and how they're buying up exclusivity. I mean, I get it. I understand how this is benefiting the developers, but it's still very, very disheartening that this is happening and that we are still seeing this split in the communities, and it's just... but anyway, congrats to Oculus for, I guess, for controlling a lot of the new content space in this GDC, and hopefully pretty soon we're going to see some of the new titles that we know are coming for Steam. All right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching the very first ever Tribal Instincts news show. What did you guys think? Is this something that you want to see repeatedly? Do you want to see me recap, months or quarters of the VR year? This is fun. I like being able to go through and do the research and figuring these things out and deciding what I want to show you guys. So it was pretty fun. Let me know if you guys like it. And if you do, just hit the like button below. If you didn't like it, hit the downvote button, and both those things will tell me if you want to see more of these in the future. And if you do want to see more of just any of my videos, hit subscribe, guys, and I'll see you all in the next video. Thank you. Bye-bye.